Sugars, welcome to the podcast. Here we are on the Business Coach TV show, and today I'm joined by Juan Ortega from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. How are you, Brad?
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Now, most people don't know, but you started in business coaching a roundabout way. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I did. I've been coaching for about 7 years now, and it's been the best journey of my life. I've learned more in the last 7 years than I have in the first 20.
It's funny. We're the ones teaching, and yet we learn the most.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always tell my clients that they're not the only ones learning. Every conversation that I have with every client, I'm getting something out of that as well.
Now, I know in coaching there's always a few favorites, and I asked you to come here and tell me about some of your favorites. Give me one or two of your favorites. Who's first on your list of favorite clients?
I think the person that I think of first is a client, Steven. He has an insurance business.
Hang on, an insurance guy is one of your favorite clients?
He is, believe it or not. We made it actually exciting and fun. And when I first met Steven, he had been in business for about 7 years. His main thing was, I want to make the business profitable, and I'm working like a dog. I'm not really making money.
Yeah, like the average person who comes to us, working too hard. Business is making money, but I'm not necessarily putting a lot of profit out of it. Staff are making money, but I'm not necessarily. So hang on, in the insurance game, so what was the main things that he had to learn or that you had to teach him so that give me the lessons so our listeners can get them?
I think the first thing that we did with Steven is he had to stop being a technician in the business. He was busy writing policies all day, and he wasn't running the team.
Yeah, so no one's running the business. You're working in it, not on it.
Absolutely.
You got to change it so that instead of being the employee in your own company, you're actually working as the boss in your own company.
That's exactly right.
So did he have to increase sales to be able to afford to do that, or what was the thing?
He needed to. That was definitely one of the things that we needed to do. Is increase
so you
sales.
guys pushed sales up. How did you push sales up? What was the first thing you did?
First thing I did is really teach him the basic concept of what is selling, and the fact that you're not in the insurance business per se. You're in a sales organization. Like, you run a sales organization. It just so happens to be that
sell
you
insurance.
To sell insurance. Yeah.
So did he have to put in systems and all of that stuff for sales?
Absolutely, because what we figured out is that his team they were each doing sales, handling sales in their own way, in a different way.
Yeah, we can systemize how to make a burger at McDonald's, but writing soft systems is too hard. It's crazy the number of business owners that don't put scripts and systems in place for the sales system. So what did that do to his numbers? What sort of increase?
Oh, he increased dramatically. I would say, the biggest probably result was towards the end of that first year of working with him, we had doubled his business. And
in the first year?
In the first year.
Now, here's the crazy thing, right? Average business owner will listen to a show like this. What do you mean you doubled in the first year? They don't get it that that's possible. How do you explain to people what business coaching can do?
Well, and I think that the thing that surprises most people is that was with zero additional dollars in marketing. All we did is he realized that his conversion was like 20%. So we doubled his business simply by going from 20%
Fixing the
to
sales
40.
team, getting him to a 40% conversion. Anything else you had to teach him, or anything else that was a major part of his learning to get his growth?
His major thing is, like, when he stopped being a technician and he started actually leading the team and being a business owner, right? So he had to go through his own mindset shift of going from technician to being an owner.
The old letting go of doing the day-to-day, hanging up the boots or the gloves or whatever it was that you had to do. Tell me another one of your favorite clients then.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Bill. Bill came to me. He's an attorney. And
hang on, you got attorneys and insurance people as your favorite clients. Is there something weird that I need to know about you over here?
So Bill and his wife came to me, and what she said to me when I first met him is, look, Bill's been an attorney. He's got a great business. He makes great money, but he's never home. Bring my husband home.
Wow.
And that's what she said to me.
I can imagine how powerful that'd be if my wife was saying that to someone in front of me. That would jab in the heart type material.
Absolutely. And that's where we
So how old was Bill when you started working with him?
Bill was mid-40s, late 40s when I first started working with him.
Yeah, making all the money, but so rich, not wealthy.
That's right.
Got the money, but not the time to enjoy it.
That's right.
So what did he have to learn? How did you teach him? What was the biggest lessons for him?
The biggest lesson for him definitely was he had to break the habit that his father had actually started. So he inherited the business from his father. His father was an attorney as well. And for 50 years that his father ran the business, the father was the only attorney in that business. And so we had to break that. And I opened them up to the possibility of, you mean I can have more attorneys doing the work for me?
You know what? It's interesting, though. If you are a technical person, be it a profession, be it a trade, anything, like even for me as a business coach, when I first started, I was the only business coach in Action Coach on day one. Getting it through your mind that the goal is to build a team of people doing that, it's often a revelation to people because they think that they're building the business around them. They have a self-employed mentality rather than a business owner mentality. So what else did this guy have to learn then? Obviously team building, recruiting, all that stuff.
I think the biggest thing also with Bill was setting goals. Like one of the things that he had never really done is looked at his numbers. He never, he always looked afterward, like, let's see how we did last month,
Right.
as opposed to setting goals and setting targets financially. And even personally, one of the reasons why I think he was so stuck being in the office is because he really had nothing to strive for.
Right.
He had no big personal goals.
I love it when with my clients, I sit with them and say, okay, give me the number of hours you actually want to work a week. Like I want to be working 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. Great. There's a goal. We've now got a goal of how many hours you want to work. Let's build a business that works so you don't have to. Anything else? I guess what was the major lesson Bill had to get to employ the people would be probably the biggest one.
Absolutely. And it was the confidence of his own ability to find the good people, train them, and really let them go, and just letting them go, and having
letting
systems.
go again.
Right. It came back to that.
It's interesting when people go to recruit, there's a mindset that a lot of business owners have that you can't find good people. And I've told you before the story of my old man. My dad told me when I was young, the reason you can't find good people is you're not a good manager. And it's like, oh, thanks, Dad. When you become a good manager, you get good people. How about, okay, let's get on to your third client. You got a whole bunch of them listed here. Let's just pick the third one. Tell me about them.
This was an interesting business. It's a mom and 2 adult kids that were running a home healthcare business.
Right.
And
what is home healthcare? Is that like nurse services?
It is. It's basically instead of going to a retirement home, you have someone come to your own home. So mom, 2 adult kids, and the kids were in their mid-20s, so they were still very, very young. When I got there,
Now, there's a bunch of millennials watching this show going, what do you mean I'm very, very young?
Yeah, very, very young. And it's funny, me saying that's young. And, when I first met them, total chaos. It was literally, when you think of and describe a mom and pop business, this was that. I mean, it was really, parent and kids, and they treated the business like they were in their kitchen.
So it was not just a family business, it was a family business.
It really was. Like they would argue and, mom, I don't want to do that. And,
but mom's the CEO and you're an employee. Shut up and do as you're told, employee.
Right. So there was like no systems. And even though they owned a franchise, which was interesting, they owned a franchise, they weren't following the systems that they had essentially bought into.
Why buy a franchise if you're not going to follow the systems? That's just crazy.
Exactly.
So, okay, what was the biggest lessons that you taught them that made them grow the business? And what was the growth rate that happened when you started with them?
This business, and I've been working with them now for 4 years,
Right.
we've tripled that business in the last 3 years. And I think the biggest thing for them was, number one is you bought into these systems. How about you start using them and following them? Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing for the 3 of them...
I think that franchisor wants to call you to work with every franchisee in their company.
That'd be great. I'd love to do that. It's really getting them organized. Like, what is your job description? What do you do?
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, I'm not sure what I do. I just show up and do whatever's necessary.
It's funny how in the smallest of small family businesses, it's like the family just does whatever it needs doing. No one has separate jobs. Everyone just does everything.
That's right. And we just needed them to think strategically about, what is your role? What is the job description that you have? And is that optimal? Is that strategic? Does that make sense for you to do that given your own skills?
Now, obviously, they got a bunch more employees and all that sort of stuff. Tell me, was there a fair bit of marriage counseling or family counseling in amongst some of the coaching?
Absolutely. In fact, I was even called, a few times their family therapist, and they said, can we add that to your, job description of what you do?
Put it on the list. It's one of those things. Juan, I love seeing the results you're getting. I love your passion for business owners. So thanks for being on the Business Coach TV show.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, watch again next week. We'll talk about a few more people around the world that are succeeding and see what lessons we can get from them. Bye for now.